So the big story today is a huge Lukoil plant that the Ukrainians targeted last night. It's 5% of more than 5% of their total capacity. It's big, and it's on the heels of one hit after another after another. So they've targeted something along the lines of 20% of Russian capacity over the last 2 weeks. That doesn't mean that they've destroyed all of it, but yeah, okay. Russia's Volgograd refinery is currently ablaze. Multiple Ukrainian attack drones hit the facility. Here's the picture. Sky's not supposed to look like that at night. Here's from the Unmanned Systems Forces, their view of this. Here's where Volgograd is and what they targeted. So Volgograd refinery, 15 million, what is it, barrels per day or something like that. Yeah, you can see what's going on here. This is their official, what they put out to let the world know. And again, they just keep, like, there's been streaks where they went after oil, like while Biden was still president. And when they went after some things early on in the Trump administration, it was very light effect. But here they seem to be having some good effects. Okay. So let's look at this overnight. Well, let me go back here to this. This is some explanation. It's top 10 largest oil refineries in Russia, and it's the biggest producer of petroleum products in the Southern Federal District. Its processing capacity exceeds 15 million tons of crude oil per year, about 5.6% of all Russia's refining. It's involved in supplying Russia's occupying army. As a result of the attack, a massive fire broke out on the refinery's premises. Data from NASA firm satellite service confirmed the presence of numerous fire hotspots. Unmanned systems forces continue to target the enemy's strategic infrastructure, reducing its ability to wage war against Ukraine. And again, that's where it was, and it was a lot of hits last night. Okay, overnight drones struck this Volgograd oil refinery. Russian sources report a fuel spill followed by a large fire, and the firm's data shows it. And if we look at the firm's data, like you can see, like there's some pretty good hits here. Okay. Map of Russian oil refineries recently attacked after Ukraine resumed its campaign against Russian oil facilities. It's been a while, right? But there's like a half dozen of these in the last 2 weeks. It's like every other day something gets hit, and it's pretty impressive what they've been able to accomplish here. Here it is during the day. We see some more images of it. Here is some more, like Lukoil refinery near Volgograd after the day's drone strike. And it's, again, 5%, actually more than 5% of total Russian refinery capacity. It's pretty impressive. Now, yesterday I put this video out. That's pretty good timing, all about oil revenue. Not everybody wants to watch this, but if you want to understand why this is so important, that's the video I just put out yesterday that you want to watch to understand what's going on here. Okay, powerful explosions on Rostov. The city has been attacked by drones. Rostov, yeah, I mean, they're hitting that. And with Jane Keeve's commentary here was, with Russia's air defenses increasingly allocated toward protecting Putin's palaces, harems, and beastly spawn, things aren't going well for the rest of Russia. What's he talking about? Well, I put this in this video yesterday, that the last video I put out last night was Trump just admitted I can't stop Putin from targeting civilians. Like, that was quite an admission. And then in that video, you saw this, that Russian anti-aircraft defense systems are being pulled from Ukraine and cities in Russia to protect Putin's palaces. Remember, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. Like, Russia is 11 time zones. And because they're 11 time zones, they're going to have a hard time trying to cover everything. But Putin's palaces got priority billing, and so that means that other things are being hit simultaneously. If anybody can find a map of where they're pulled from, I would love to be able to see that. If anybody has stumbled over that as they're watching what's going on. Okay, overnight, what has Russia done? August 14th, Russia launched 45 Shaheds and other decoy drones, along with 2 S-300, S-400 missiles from the Kursk region. Mobile fire groups downed or suppressed 24 drones over north and east. 21 drones hit 12 locations. So that's not a good record. That's pretty poor. And this number here, it frightens me, because there's so much more that they could have done, and that they're only using 47 just makes me nervous. 4 months ago today, we bombed an Easter church as this is Darth Putin, 4 months ago saying, 4 months ago today, we bombed an Easter church service in Sumy with cluster munitions. What you tolerate, you permit. Yeah, there is something to that the West has continued to tolerate this and not just stop it. Like just provide Ukraine everything necessary to stop it. And I talk about this in class, and I cite Henry Cloud, a psychologist, who says it's true that you get what you tolerate. That's exactly right. This is why Putin needs to be stopped. Okay, 990 Russians off the battlefield day over day, 5 tanks, 3 armored fighting vehicles, 29 artillery systems. Look at this with vehicles and fuel tanks, 191. You're like, wow, that's great. Until you realize that when you look at the losses that Andrew Perpetua could identify for the 11th and the 12th, they're about 1-to-1. The battlefield's just hot. I mean, so Ukraine is getting it handed to them just like they're handing it out to Russia. Okay, holding back on enemy onslaught, Ukrainian defenders repelled 40 attacks in the Pokrovsk direction. Well, that's reasonably high given the last few weeks, but these attacks have been very small attacks comparatively. Units of the Azov Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine have been deployed to Pokrovsk sector to halt the Russian offensive. Okay, Azov are pretty tough. Right? I mean, they're good fighters, and they've been able to repel what's been coming in through this bunny rabbit looking, I didn't call it that. Somebody else named it this bunny rabbit looking double salient here. General Staff says the situation in Dobropilya axis is stabilizing. Ukrainian forces are detecting and destroying small Russian groups that managed to break through. Those that broke through, it's kind of like a suicide mission. They break through, but they're not going to last all that long. Russia's recent creation of the salient of north of Pokrovsk has been met by dismay with the Ukrainians, but with surprising degree of caution from Russian war bloggers. I find that really interesting. Now I was upset about this as well, but the war bloggers are not really excited about it because they recognize that it's just an extended meat assault with uncertain chance of success. I think that's a fair analysis. Okay, Ukrainian forces repelled another large mechanized assault. I don't even understand why they're doing a large mechanized assault, given all the drones and what drones can do. Russian troops advanced from Verbobi with heavy armor across fields, followed by motorcyclists. The attack failed. Reported Russian losses: 4 tanks, 4 buggies, 4 motorcycles, damaged IFVs, APCs, 16 killed, 10 wounded. If you just watch this video, it's a shooting gallery. It's like shooting ducks in a barrel or fish in a barrel or whatever the metaphor is. It's just slaughter. I don't understand why you would order forces to do that. Okay, meanwhile, the North Koreans, we talked about them yesterday, I think yesterday or the day before. North Koreans in Russia turned into slaves, 18-hour shifts under secret police surveillance. North Korean workers who escaped from this construction sites in Russia told the BBC that they were treated like slaves. They wake up at 6 a.m. And by the way, they usually, if you look up the series, it's called Dollar Heroes. Just look up Dollar Heroes. Just Google it, and you'll see a video by, I think it's PBS, about how they use these North Korean slaves. And usually they only send those with families so that if they try to escape, they kill their family or torture their family or something along those lines. And that way they keep the North Koreans in check. Okay, but they just work them to death like slaves. North Korean workers who escaped from the construction sites in Russia told the BBC that they were treated like slaves. They wake up at 6 a.m., work until 2 a.m., no days off except for 2 per year. They were kept under round-the-clock watch by agents from North Korea's State Security Department, beaten for trying to rest, forced to live in filthy containers, infested with bed bugs, or on floors of unfinished buildings. Most of their wages were taken by the state. The remaining $100 to $200 or so was given back only after returning to North Korea to prevent escapes. In 2024, over 10,000 such workers were sent to Russia, and in 2025, the number is expected to reach 50,000 sent to Russia to do, 2 persons worth of work or 3 persons worth of work in a single day. And that's just civilian workers. That's not what we're talking about with military. Now, military, Kim plans to send about 6,000 more soldiers, as well as 50 to 100 units of equipment in over to Russia, as on top of what was already pre-existing, the 12,000 or so Koreans that were in the army. Okay, and to add to that, the Russians are trying to do things like this. The army is your prison. A Russian enlistment officer to forcibly mobilized Ukrainian from Kherson region. So he's a Ukrainian, and what happened was the Russians found that is, they planted weed in my house, called it mine. The judge gave me 12.5 years. I signed some documents after that. The military enlistment took me. So he's now fighting for Russia because, yeah, or was then fighting for Russia as a consequence of that. Okay. Beware of false flags. I see a lot of this in, the Russian media is talking extensively about there's going to be these false flag out, these big Ukrainian operations that are going to be trying to derail the Putin-Trump summit or Trump-Putin summit. Beware of false flags. In the lead up to the Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska, Russians are hitting their own civilians and blaming Ukraine. So far, they've hit an aqua park with children in occupied Kherson region, random street in Belgorod. Yeah. All right. So just be aware of that. Here are some drone footage of Ukrainian drones, FPV drones, knocking down some reconnaissance drones. And I show this very frequently, but what I don't show is what happens like once it clicks out, because obviously it blows up and the drone blows up and like there's nothing left, right? Well, this image, look at this. You'll actually see the beginning of the see that? Look at that little like fire going out of it as it's like the camera caught a little bit of that as it was being hit. So just thought that was kind of cool to be able to visualize. All right. Ground robotic systems are the steel assistants of our warriors on the front lines. Now, Ukraine has and Russia has swapped 84 prisoners, each in a UAE brokered deal releasing Mariupol defenders and civilians held since 2014. 2014. Like, yeah. So what the Ukrainians have been trying to do is get back those that are sickest and have been in captivity the longest. And then they made this sick video on RT I was showing you the other day where they were saying, well, you're not being traded. They don't want you back. Why don't they want me back? And just trying to mess with their heads and trying to like deceive them into thinking that their country doesn't want them anymore. It's really sick. But they do try to get these guys back the longer they've been there. Among the defenders released from Russian captivity today is a colonel, a border guard from Mariupol garrison who was fighting since 2014. He was wounded but continued to defend Ukraine. He's a defender of Mariupol. Russia held him in Olenivka for a long time, and he's back. This is Zelensky saying, we are bringing back Ukrainians home, back to Ukraine. A new exchange, 84 people, both military personnel and civilians. Almost all of them require medical care and significant rehabilitation. Among the civilians released today are those who had been held by Russia since 2014, 16, 17. Among the military released today are the defenders of Mariupol. I thank the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, for its assistance in this exchange. The bravery and effectiveness of our units on the front line make it possible, among other things, to bring our people back home. There will be more exchanges. Okay, well, that's good. I'm going to leave you with this image. This is a woman whose sons are both in this, like they have these large fields of nothing but portraits of fallen defenders and graveyards with this and that sort of thing. This is, I think, at a graveyard. Here on this day, you always greeted me with flowers, warm words, and hugs. Now I come to you, my dear beloved sons, with flowers, pain, and a broken heart. You are forever in my heart. Lena is the mother, a mother who lost her 2 sons because of Russia. I just want you to soak in that image. That's what Russia has brought to Ukraine. All right, my friends, thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.